Hello and welcome to another TLDR UK video. In this one, we're going to be talking about the recent riots in Northern Ireland, which relate to Brexit, the border, Northern Irish troubles as a whole, and the recent situation with the police force. So in this video, we're going to try and unpick what's going on, and what we expect to happen next on the island of Ireland. Before we get to that though, a quick shout out to our TLDR Global channel, where we cover all kinds of global topics, including a recent video where we run through all ongoing conflicts. I think you'll really enjoy that video and what we have on the channel more generally, so be sure to subscribe to TLDR Global, which is linked below. Before we get into the video, I think it's worth saying that anything to do with Northern Ireland is going to be controversial, and people of different political persuasions will see things differently. We're going to try our hardest to fairly represent all sides on this one, and any apparent bias is accidental. We've got no agenda here. So onto the riots. Over the last week or so, there have been riots in parts of Northern Ireland. The riots began last Monday in Tullalee, a town outside Londonderry or Derry. Things really picked up on Friday though, when rioters used petrol bombs and masonry against police, and violence spread to Belfast. These are all unionist majority areas, and the violence is clearly motivated in some part by unionism or unionist forces. A total of 27 PSNI officers were injured on Friday night, and Easter weekend only saw things get increasingly violent, with more petrol bombs and fireworks used against police on Saturday and Sunday nights. According to the police force in the area, 30 petrol bombs were thrown at police on Saturday alone, and 5 more police were injured on Sunday night, bringing the total number of injured police officers to 32. Here's some footage from Sunday to give you some insight. Now, it's worth noting that while the violence was extreme, police have claimed that most of the violence was committed by groups of no more than 30 people. We're not trying to minimise the violence here. Petrol bombs are serious no matter how many people are throwing them. It's just worth noting that most of the violence seems to be committed by small groups of extremists. Anyway, so that's what happened, but why has it happened? Well, there's no simple answer to this one, because unionist politicians, nationalist politicians, and the police all give different explanations. According to the police, the proximate cause for this violence was a recent crackdown on the southeast ANTRIM faction of the Ulster Defence Association, or UDA. The Southeast ANTRIM are an independent renegade faction of the UDA involved in drug dealing. Over the last few weeks, the PSNI have made some very high-profile arrests and drug seizures, which has obviously annoyed those involved. The PSNI seem to think that they're responsible for at least some of the recent violence. Nationalist politicians, however, blame unionist politicians for what they see as extremist rhetoric. Unionist politicians and political parties have expressed their disapproval at both the Irish Protocol and, more recently, a decision by the Public Prosecution Service not to prosecute 24 Sinn Féin members for attending Bobby Storey's funeral. In response to the decision, all main unionist parties have called for the resignation of the PSNI Chief Constable Simon Byrne, which nationalist politicians see as undermining the PSNI. The DUP also met with the Loyalist Communities Council, or LCC, which represents both the Ulster Volunteer Force and the UDA, to discuss opposition to the Northern Irish Protocol. The UVF and UDA were the two main unionist paramilitary organisations during the Troubles, responsible for hundreds of murders. While both groups nominally gave up violent campaigning in 2007, this was obviously a controversial meeting, and nationalist politicians claim that it legitimised and encouraged unionist violence. Unionist politicians, on the other hand, blame nationalist politicians for flouting COVID regulations with Bobby Storey's funeral, and the UK government for the Northern Irish Protocol. For those of you who don't know, Bobby Story was a senior Republican figure who was the head of intelligence for the IRA in the 1990s. He died last year, and his funeral in June attracted over 2,000 mourners, including 24 Sinn Féin politicians. This was at a time when COVID restrictions put a 30-person limit on funerals. At the time, Sinn Féin claimed that COVID restrictions weren't clear, which is a bit of a push, given that they were involved in making the legislation. Anyway, unionist politicians claim that the rioters are angry at the fact that nationalists, including some Sinn Féin politicians, broke COVID regulations and got away with it. DUP MP Gregory Campbell described the riots as a symptom of the manner in which Sinn Féin has played fast and loose with the COVID rules, while zealously demanding everyone else obey them. Unionist politicians also blame the Northern Irish Protocol, part of Johnson's Brexit deal, for aggravating unionists. Anyway, whoever's correct about the direct proximate cause of this violence, it's nonetheless true to say that it's occurring in the context of wider unionist upset in Northern Ireland. Unionist politicians were never happy about the Northern Ireland Protocol, which is why they didn't vote for Johnson's Brexit deal. That's because when the transition period ended, the UK had to actually start checking certain goods moving between Great Britain and Northern Ireland, which left unionists more than a little bit annoyed. In January, the LCC met with Northern Irish civil servants to express their anger at the new post-Brexit trading arrangements. In early February, after threatening graffiti was found, reports that unionists were taking down the number plate details of border officials and what the council described as an upsurge in sinister and menacing behaviour in recent weeks, the Port of Larne had to suspend all such checks. Then, in mid-February, the main unionist parties said that they were supporting a judicial review against the Northern Ireland Protocol. The LLC said that it was withdrawing its support for the Good Friday Agreement over the Northern Ireland Protocol. In their letter, the LLC warned that Boris Johnson should not underestimate the strength of feeling on this issue right across the unionist family, and claimed that he had reneged on the clear promises he made to the people of Northern Ireland that there would be unfettered access. To be fair, he did say something pretty close to this in 2019.
There will not be checks. There will not be checks. I speak as the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom and a passionate unionist. There will not be checks on goods going from Northern Ireland to Great Britain.
DUP MP Sir Geoffrey Donaldson also told the BBC's Good Morning Ulster programme that unionist confidence and support of the Good Friday Agreement is diminishing rapidly. Basically, whatever the trigger was for these riots in particular, they're occurring against the backdrop of wider unionist upset, mainly directed at the Northern Ireland Protocol. And it seems that the protocol has strained unionist consent for the Good Friday Agreement too. Anyway, we hope you enjoyed this video, and we've tried to be fair to both sides, but if you think we've missed anything, then let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to be notified every time we release a new video. Special thanks to our Patreon backers who make videos like this one possible. And if you want to see your name at the end of videos, then you too can back us on Patreon. The link to that's in the description.